Good day, subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am Jeremy. This is the Financial Education Channel, and today we're doing one of the most requested videos in the channel's history, which is which apps do I use for the stock market? Which websites do I personally use for stock market tracking, for looking into things, all that type of stuff, guys. I have never ever done a full video on this. I don't believe, at least in the channel's history, guys. So we're going to look at all of them today, and I hope you guys enjoy this because it's been requested by you guys like 8 million times. So hit that thumbs up button if you enjoy, and let's get into this. So the app I probably use the most for looking into the stock market, or not just looking into the stock market, but in relation to the stock market, is an app called Stock Tracker. It's called Stock Tracker. And on this app, this is the app I log into every day, probably maybe twice or maybe 3 times a day. And this app is where I keep all the stocks I keep watch on a daily basis. There's about 35 stocks in total. I keep track of every single day what their price is at. And you see, this is my front page. As you see, the first 4 stocks there, those are the stocks that were just actually on 4 stocks I was buying, this past month. So obviously those are going to be the stocks I keep track of more than anything. And then it kind of goes down the list depending on what I'm keeping track of here. What a day for a screenshot, huh? Everything's red on this page. It's unbelievable. So Stock Tracker app, it's great for keeping track of things. It's got a ton of features. It's super in depth. I think I've done a video on Stock Tracker app, just the Stock Tracker app before. Not 100% sure about that, but I believe I have. But some of my favorite features are just keeping track of prices every day. The chart feature is awesome. 1 day, 5 day, 1 month, 3 months, 6 month, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, or you can look all the way up to the maximum amount back you can look, which is basically since I stock IPO'd. I love that feature. It gives you a real easy, checking in as far as what's the volume on that stock for the day. Market cap. It has a discuss section where people are talking about that stock, which is not that great in my opinion. The financials I don't really use that much. The technicals I don't really look at that much on the Stock Tracker app. Another feature I love on Stock Tracker is this feature where you can basically sort the stocks that gain the most in the stock market that day, and it'll show you all those. There's also another one where you can look at the stocks that went down the most that day, and you can also look at news on that app and things like that. And that app is completely free. You can do an ad-free version, but personally, I don't need the ad-free version. I have a friend who has the ad-free version, and actually, his Stock Tracker app has more issues than mine as far as like crashing and stuff, and he actually pays like, I don't know, $14.99 a year or whatever for his like premium version. It's kind of funny how that works out, but that is definitely the app I use more than anything as far as on a daily basis. Next app up here is CNBC app. I love looking at this app for pre-markets. It's just real easy to keep track of pre-markets on the CNBC app. Also, this app I love just for looking at what are the big news stories that day. It's a media company, so obviously they're gonna, show whatever the biggest news stories, whether it's earnings, whether it's some politically related. I like to look at that just so I can do a quick reference on maybe something catches my eye and I'm like, I need to look further into depth about this. So then I go ahead and look further in depth. So that's a good app for that. That's why I like the CNBC app. The next app is not even a stock market related app, but I use it in relation to the stock market a ton. It is called Google, otherwise known as Google.com, or I use the app version personally more than the website. Google, I love for looking up news about companies I either own or I'm looking into. So let's say I'm looking into Apple, right? I'm looking into Apple, I'm judging all the fundamentals and all that stuff. Then I want to look at recent news for Apple. So I'll type in Apple and I'll look at all the recent news surrounding Apple. It might have, things to do with a stock, might just have things to do with underlying company, might have, some story about some phone in India that was made by Apple blew up or something. Like, you never really know. Like, I'm just looking for anything news related on a company like Apple. By the way, there's so many ridiculous amounts of news stories that come out every day. It's hard to even keep track of. But most normal stocks, like, there's not a ton of news on a daily basis. Even like big companies, most of them don't have a ton of news stories. So you like to just kind of look into that and see like what are the trending news stories, are there any articles written about that company, stuff like that. So that's why I love Google, looking up news related stuff. The Seeking Alpha app is a good app if you want to see what people's opinions are on a particular stock. So for instance, if you're invested in Alibaba, you could have AABA as one of your ticker symbols, and you can click on that and you can basically see any articles written by anybody on Seeking Alpha about Alibaba stock or in relation to a product or service they're doing or whatever. And you can do that for basically any stock out there, guys, on the Seeking Alpha app, and they have their bunch of writers that write for Seeking Alpha. I don't know if those writers do it for free or they get paid or whatever, but that's just a cool place so you can see what other people's opinions are if you care to see what other people's opinions are on a stock you're invested in or looking into and those kinds of things. That one's called Seeking Alpha. Now on to the websites. So that was the apps. Now we're on to the websites. Money.cnn.com. I use this one quite a bit. You guys know I use this in the Stock Market Weekly Recaps. This is an app, or excuse me, a website I love as far as it just shows you real good year to date. I really like this one for looking at year to date, and that's honestly the main reason I look at it is for year to date and the 5-day change. It's the fastest as far as if you're trying to just look at a stock for the last 5 days or year to date, because it's always instantaneous and it's always up there ready for you. The next one I use, which this one I used to use a ton, guys, and I don't use it nearly as much now. Yahoo Finance. Yahoo Finance has really gone downhill over the years. They used to, it literally was my favorite website at one time, and they've just screwed things up, but I still use it a decent amount. This is completely random, but in that picture there, this is the front page of Yahoo Finance on the Wells Fargo home mortgage. Is that two dudes? That just like amazes me, like how far things have come. Like growing up, I always remember like they couldn't even show gay people like kissing on TV and stuff like that. Now you got like, you know, gay guys on the front page of Yahoo Finance. It's amazing like how far things have come with that. And those are two dudes, right? I'm just making sure those look like two guys. And if they're just friends, then man, they need to, there's no way, they gotta be gay at the end of the day. That's completely random, I'm off subject. GGR Asia, I absolutely love this website. This website is phenomenal for looking at anything Asia gaming related. So obviously I'm invested in Wynn Resorts. That's one of my biggest positions. I'm always going to be looking at GGR Asia. There's tons of news stories out of there. They're very up to date on what's the biggest news stories about what's going on in the political scene in Macau and some of the other markets, guys. Absolutely love GGR Asia. And if you're invested in anything like Wynn Resorts, MGM, Las Vegas Sands, like you should absolutely be on ggраsia.com. Once again, another free website. All these websites are free and all these apps are free. You don't have to pay anything. I'm sure they all have like, you know, like paid models where you can pay for them and you don't have ads and those kinds of things, but they're all free at the end of the day. And my favorite of all of them, which is investor relations pages on a company's website. So if you're looking into a company, this is the best place to go at the end of the day over all those apps, over all those websites, because here is where you can really get work done. You know, the investor relations page of any public company, that's where the 10Ks are at. That's where the 10Qs are at. That's where, you know, all the conference calls are at, all the presentations and, you know, the CEO has done recently for investors, all those kinds of things, guys. Like, this is the primo. Like, this is, if I had to pick one website or one you know, platform to pick from, I would always go to investor relations pages of companies over everything else. Like, that's more important than the stock tracker app or this or that, because this is where you actually do the fundamental work. Unless maybe you're a day trader or something like that, maybe there's an app or a website that's more important. But for me as a fundamental longer term investor, like, it's all like the investor relations page is the holy grail, guys, because that's got all the information I really need to really judge a company, other than maybe like the statistics on, you know, PE ratio and some of those kinds of things. I might want to use Yahoo Finance or something like that, which, by the way, Yahoo Finance, I like to still look at that. Like PE ratios, the TTM, the trailing 12 month, the forward PE, Yahoo Finance still does a good job of those type of things. There's a lot of other things Yahoo Finance screwed up on. But investor relations page, you know, if you're looking into Coca-Cola, you just Google Coca-Cola investor relations, will be the first thing that pop up. You click on that and you can see any information just about you want to read about that company all in there, guys. So those are the websites, those are the apps I use personally, guys. Let me know what you think about any of these apps or websites. If you use any of them, if you use any that I did not mention here, I would love to hear from you guys in that comment section about, oh, I love to use such and such, and why you like to use such and such, because this video will get a ton of views from mainly like stock market for beginners type people that are kind of looking, never like found apps or websites to look into. So share your opinion down there in the comments. I would love to hear from you guys on that. In other ways, hit a thumbs up if you enjoyed. If you just came across this channel, you may want to subscribe. We talk personal finance in the channel. We talk entrepreneurship. I'm an actual business owner. I give away so many business tips. We talk stock market investing more than anything. Thank you for watching, guys, and have a great day.